Welcome to Madison, Wisconsin, as today we visit Camp Randall, the oldest football stadium in the Big Ten Conference, as this historic stadium is home to the University of Wisconsin Badger football program. Camp Randall has an extremely unique history, as in 1861, it opened as a Union Army Civil War military training location, and was the largest training site for Wisconsin soldiers going into the Civil War. After the war, the university took over the site starting in 1893, with the track and field teams participating there. But in 1895, the football and baseball teams also moved into the site and began play there. After several issues, they decided they needed an actual concrete structure, and in 1917, the stadium opened as a legit stadium for the first time. After several different renovations and modernizations to the stadium, it currently has a capacity of 80,321, which makes it the 20th largest stadium in the United States and the 41st largest in the entire world. When getting to the stadium, parking is kind of dispersed around the campus. However, Wisconsin is all about tailgating. If there's a sporting event, you know there's going to be tailgating. And Badger football is no exception to that, so we hung out and tailgated a little bit before the game. After tailgating, we made our way through campus and saw some great sights in the university on our way to State Street, which is basically the party central of Madison, as this street leads directly to the Capitol building that you can see on the far side, and it's lined with bars, restaurants, and so many fun things to do. But first, we hit up the bookstore because it was a stripe out at this game, and our seats were located in the white section, and my friend that I was with only had a red shirt and needed to get a white one. However, I decided to deliberately disobey these instructions because, well, to be honest, I was cheering for the other team because my girlfriend's a cougar. Wait, no, not that kind of cougar. WSU Cougars, Washington State University, the team traveling to Madison today to take on the Badgers. But let's hit a montage for the bookstore in the party atmosphere on State Street. Oh, Pink Whitney bundle. Now I was pretty shocked when going in and out of different bars how many WSU fans made the trip from Washington all the way to Wisconsin. It was awesome to see so many of their fans and know that I wasn't alone. And I have to admit, both these fan bases party hard. On our way from State Street to the stadium, we saw a tailgate happening right close to the stadium that was kind of university sponsored, as they had live music there as well as lots of other party activities going on. Unfortunately, since we partied for quite some time, we were running a little late on time, so we didn't get much chance to walk around the outside of the stadium. And also, it was completely packed over there, and the streets were really narrow and completely full of people, so there wasn't a lot of mobility to walk around the stadium and see all the sights that I wanted to see outside the stadium. One of the main things on the outside that I missed was the Camp Randall Arch, which is a little bit away from the stadium, but it commemorates more than the 70,000 soldiers that received military training at the Camp Randall military base site. The whole complex around Camp Randall also includes several other athletic facilities. On the south side, they have the Field House, which originally opened back in 1930 and currently hosts the Wisconsin Badgers women's volleyball team and the wrestling team, but it previously hosts both the basketball teams all the way up until 1998. To the northeast is the McLean Center, which hosts an indoor football field that the team practices on. And to the east is the Camp Randall Memorial Sports Center, which is often just called the Shell. And this contains a 200-meter indoor track, as well as accommodating facilities for intramural sports, and also includes a practice ice hockey sheet. The stadium exterior definitely gives you a Coliseum vibe, with the tall arches going across the entire length of the outer wall. And this Coliseum style is definitely very popular with many older college football stadiums. Now let's make our way into the stadium and onto the concourse. Once we got inside the stadium, we noticed that there's both an inner concourse and an outer concourse. First, when you go in the gates, you're in that outer concourse, and this is kind of an exterior loop that takes you around the stadium as a whole, but doesn't get you into the individual seats and sections. There's no concessions or anything here, but it's just a large walkway to filter people, because the inner concourse is extremely small and crammed. And you can really tell the age of the stadium by the stone architecture that's on the walls lining the inner concourse. The outer concourse was done during a renovation of the stadium when the capacity was increased, so the stadium footprint widened, therefore the concourse underneath the stands also became larger. And unfortunately, we realized pretty quickly that this outer concourse was not a complete 360 around the stadium, as we had to turn back at one point because we hit a dead end. And look, she wants to be in the video too. Hello, welcome to the stadium review.
What are we doing today, Sterling?
Watching the game, buddy.
No, we're stadium reviewing, buddy.
Oh yeah. Well, Badger's gonna win it.
No, not happening.
We made our way through the doors and onto the inner concourse, and it was completely packed in there. However, there was some really cool historical elements along the walls, kind of highlighting the program and its history.
Oh, Russell Wills.
History.
Lots of people.
Lots of people.
It was also alumni band day when we were there, so there was a massive crowd of the alumni band lining up to go onto the field and blocking the entire concourse, making it even more congested and claustrophobic in there. But we had quite a fun time pregame on the concourse, watching a bunch of students get arrested, which we can only assume was for underage drinking.
She's going away!
Amateur.
She went to the jail!
I swear to God, that wasn't mine.
Over there, ready to go!
Oh, give him the pat down. Breaking the law, breaking the law.
Oh, another one! Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law.
I also did some more exploring of the concourse when it got to halftime and tried to make my way more around the stadium. However, I was only able to make it from the northwest corner where we were sitting down to the southeast corner, so only about half the stadium I was able to explore during halftime. I did get to see the new south concourse and the new south seating section. Before, it was just all metal bleachers, but now they transformed it into this private seating zone. The concourse there is really new, nice, and sleek, and also there's this private lounge area with food, beverages, and so many different amenities. This is also the only location in the stadium where you can buy alcoholic beverages, except we're looking at it and the tickets are about $700 per person for a single game. Now that is completely ridiculous, and you can just drink before or after the game. Don't spend $700 on this premium experience. And it was really hard to navigate around the concourse just because of how narrow it was and how many people were there. Now, I'm someone that does get rather claustrophobic kind of easily, so I just kind of put my head down, followed the person in front of me, and kept trudging on through the massive crowds. Also on the concourse, I had to get some food. You know, everywhere I go, I normally get a hot dog, so I had to keep that going and got a plain hot dog here. It was actually pretty good. The bun was quite surprising, nice and fluffy, even had different ridges in it. Pretty spectacular if you ask me. But they have a lot of different other food options as well here on the concourse, but I didn't want to wait in line for any of those and wanted to get back to my seat pretty quickly. I was a big fan they had readily available water fountains around, so I didn't have to keep buying water, but a little unsustainable with it running the whole time. Alright, let's get some breathing room now. Let's get out of the crowded concourse and into the seating bowl itself. So first, when you go on the entrance ramp up to the seating bowl, there's this large gap under the seats that creates this really rubble-looking void. It's quite a bit sketchy under there, and I think there's some feral badgers probably, but just like the concourse, with this older stadium, it was extremely tight in the seating bowl. Like I said, I am someone that easily gets claustrophobic, and man, my knees were pressed together on this metal bench. The seating itself is one giant bowl wrapped around in a horseshoe design, and with that south section having multi-tiered new private seating options, as it butts right up to the historic fieldhouse. Towering over the east stand is the multi-level suites and press box areas, and also on those press box they have all the retired numbers in Badger history, as well as their Big Ten championships, Rose Bowl appearances, and other different various accomplishments throughout the history of the program. Now up behind us on the west side, there is a second stand of seating, a higher tier up above, and also another press box above that seating section. And there's also quite a few rows of overhang from the lower section that are covered by the upper section of seating. and we were just on the edge of that overhang. Thankfully, the weather held out for the day and it didn't end up raining, but if it did, we would have been partially covered. What I do really like about the overhang is there's a plethora of TVs in there, so it's not always the best view from underneath the overhang, especially since you can't really see the stadium's scoreboard, which is high above the north end seating. The student section is seated up in the north end. It is that complete curve of the bowl is the entire student section. It is absolutely massive. They began filtering people in quite early, and no one really uses their seats. They just stand on top of their bleacher seats, and you'll love to see that kind of atmosphere and dedication from the students. When the game first kicked off, the student section was a little empty and they were still filtering people in, but as the game got going, it eventually packed full. Before the game got started, the atmosphere in the stadium really started to ramp up. First, with the Badger band coming out and doing their whole pregame routine.
Ladies and gentlemen, University of Wisconsin. Let me that guy.
During the national anthem, they always do a flyover, and big thank you for this subscriber for giving me a tip in with the flyover so I wouldn't miss it on my visit. They had a pretty good hype video going before the team came out. And then eventually, here came the Badgers. The atmosphere during the whole game was really ramped up and intense, and I really love the tradition that they do on every single first down the Badgers get.
First and 10, Wisconsin.
The fans are really engaged in the game as a whole, and that definitely shone through quite well on defensive third downs when the whole stadium is going absolutely raucous, trying to will the Badger defense into making a big third down stop. The student section was super exciting to watch the whole game. At several points throughout the game, they'd release these balloons that float across the stadium. And overall, Wisconsin fans were super nice to me as a visiting fan, didn't really have any issues at all, and I even made a new friend with the young guy in front of me.
You want to be in it?
The team also had a lot of great ways of keeping both the fans and the student section engaged. However, my favorite tradition that they have here at Wisconsin is in the third quarter, they always play Jump Around. And the whole stadium goes berserk with everyone jumping up and down during the entire song. And in case you're wondering, yes, I can rap this entire song. Big thanks to Miami Hockey for playing this since I've known the song since like 10 years old, thanks to them.
Let's go, Cougs!
The game itself was quite incredible and one that I will not soon forget. And I apologize immensely to all the Badgers fans out there watching this getting pissed off at me right now. However, it was absolutely awesome to see the smaller school of WSU come in and absolutely hang with the Badgers for the entire game. As it's a very back and forth affair, very physical, hard battle game the entire time, with several turnovers and mistakes by both sides.
Run that! Run that!
However, in the end, the Cougars were able to hold on for the victory with a final score of 17-14.
Wow.
You know, I've always got to pick up a souvenir from whatever stadium I visit, and I've really had a hard time finding a good souvenir to get at football games. So you have anything that you suggest that I can easily get at a football game, definitely shoot me a comment and tell me what I could easily get. But after the game ended, I ran around the seats and picked up an empty cup, one that looked kind of decently clean. I was like, cool, I'll take this home, this works as a souvenir. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more videos just like this one. And I'll see you again real soon for another video. Thanks, bye.